needs no introduction to mixed martial arts fans. An OG of the fight game, although I don't mean to insult you by saying you're an OG, Mike, Mr. Mike Brown. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning. Good morning.
Good. Thank you very much for the time today. I really do appreciate it. So I'm going to get into the meat and bones a bit straight away. I'm going to ask the most cliche question in mixed martial arts journalism. How has camp been so far for UFC 264?
It's good.
Yeah, it literally is the most cliche question, but
Yeah, you got it. You
we all
got
have to ask it.
it. Okay. Yeah. No, everything's good. Everything's good to go.
No, that's good. That's good. So obviously, we're going into this fight on the back of a stellar performance from Dustin Poirier in their his Abu Dhabi rematch with Conor McGregor in January. With the benefit of hindsight, and I'm sure you've watched the performance over and over again, how would you assess Dustin's performance that night, and where would you rank it in terms of his victories? Because he's had some big victories before in his career.
It was a big one. It was very big. He didn't. I don't think he fought perfectly. Obviously, he could have fought much better than that. There was many things he could have done, but it's not easy in there under the bright lights and with the bullets flying by your head. You know, it's not easy to always make those split-second decisions that are the absolute best decision. But he fought well, and it was a huge fight, one of the biggest in UFC history as far as numbers go. I think the next one will be even bigger, and I think Dustin is doing what he does, just getting better with every fight and improving. And I think he's truly in his prime and peaking better than ever. And he's just a monster. He's a real problem for anybody to deal with, this guy. I don't think anybody brings more firepower, more over 15 minutes, over 25 minutes, over that duration. Nobody puts out more horsepower in that short period of time. This guy he hits so hard, kicks so hard with both hands, both legs, and it doesn't go away. He's mega power, mega strong for the entire fight all the time.
And you guys, obviously, your game plan has been well documented now after the fight. Obviously, it had a lot to do with the calf kicks as well. Is that something that you're going to be trying to implement again? Well, without giving away too much, obviously, is that something that you're going to try to utilize again? Because obviously Conor's going to be a bit more wary about it, and particularly the effects that it has on his mobility and his ability to throw the left hand.
I mean, it'd be silly not to think that that's not an option, but obviously it'd be silly to think that Conor hasn't adapted. So that's always a possibility. But we expect that Conor is going to make some adjustments and be ready for the calf kick.
Yeah, I was about to say, what type of Conor are you expecting now? Because I kind of felt this was it was a bit of a disservice to Dustin Poirier, because a lot of the narrative after the fight was Conor was this boxing heavy guy. He wasn't the Conor that we've seen of old. What type of Conor do you expect? Do you think that he's going to try go back to the Conor of 2014, or maybe not 2014, of the 2016 Conor, where he utilized both stances, especially after having his lead leg so badly taken out because of the calf kick?
I mean, both fighters have evolved tremendously, unbelievably. They're completely two different guys from 5 years ago, or you name it. They're both elite level, world class mixed martial art fighters. And the game is evolving all the time. These guys are evolving like crazy. They're both two different guys. I expect a completely different Conor. This guy is, well, I mean, one thing I expect is a motivated Conor. I'm sure that last fight didn't taste very good. And I'm sure, and especially with the low leg kicks, the calf kick, that pain doesn't go away in a couple hours. It doesn't go away the next day. You'll carry that for a week, 2 weeks, sometimes more. So that didn't taste very well, and I'm sure he's motivated by all these things.
And I wanted to go back to something that you said at the start of the interview. You said that Dustin Poirier is just keeps on improving and improving. What would you say has been the biggest improvement that he's made over, say, the last 3 or 4 years?
It's hard to say because it's an everything is improving. His mental game, his ability to not, as he would put it, not give a fuck anymore. Uh, that's helped him quite a bit. His uh, obviously his boxing is his best skill set. He works with Diet Davis,
Yep.
quite a bit all the time. He's always fine tuning his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu. Everything is improving. He's a well-rounded mixed martial art fighter, and everything's getting better all the time. So it's hard to pinpoint one thing, but I think it's his mindset and his overall MMA skill set.
And obviously, Dustin Poirier, he's been doing it for a very, very long time. But it seemed, from my perspective, it seemed that he only started getting the respect that he deserved from the casual quarters of mixed martial arts fans after that victory. How happy for you were you to see that he's finally getting his just dues on a global scale?
Tremendous. I mean, it's about the opponent and people paying attention. He's a guy who doesn't talk a ton. That's why, he's quiet. He's not into the cameras. He's not into the social media. He's to himself. Does a little bit. He does what he has to do, but he's not into this. So he doesn't get maybe the biggest push when he wasn't the absolute best. Now of course he's getting it. He's, the absolute best guy in the world and showing it and putting these guys away. So he gets it now, but he wasn't always getting that respect and push that he deserves. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Nothing makes me happier. Very similar path to Masvidal, right? These are two guys that paid their dues more than anybody in the sport, and now finally, making big money and calling the shots now, which it's a beautiful thing to see.
And well, does it make it better the fact that Dustin stayed true to himself completely, that he hasn't adopted a character or whatever to elevate his status, that he's just done it through being himself?
I love that about Dustin. He's always said that. He's told me many times, hey, if I have to win a couple more fights to get to the title, I'll do it. I'm going to stay true to me, true to myself. If it means I got to fight 2 more fights to get to a title shot, so be it.
And going back to the fight with Conor, obviously it was in January. Do you think that 6 months is enough to make the requisite changes and the necessary adjustments after such a devastating loss?
I think there's many things at play here. I think that, the fight game is crazy. Anything can happen, but it's not about just that performance or the things that Dustin did in that fight. I just think he, at this time, this stage in his career, he's the best fighter in that division in the world, and he has a superior skill set.
Mm-hmm. And moving away from the fight, I wanted to ask you this question because I can't remember exactly when it was you called it a day. I think it might have been 2011 or 2012. I can't remember. But how has the transition to coaching been for you? Because obviously you are a fighter through and through. You're a fighter's fighter. But how have you found the transition to being a coach and being one of the leading coaches in mixed martial arts?
It's a dream job for me. It's not work. It's me hanging out at the gym, me rolling around, playing with technique, talking about fighting and trading ideas with different world-class athletes. This is not a job. This is a hobby. It's super fun, to be honest.
And if you were to make a pick of, well, I don't want to say your favorite fighter to work with, but who are some of the fighters that you've enjoyed cultivating and helping with their career?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm super happy what Dan Lambert has put together at ATT. I have so many world-class athletes in one building. It's Dustin, it's Masvidal, it's Joanna, Kayla Harrison, Kyoji Horiguchi. Um, there's a long list of unbelievably talented athletes that I get to work with on a daily basis. Andrei Arlovsky, Santiago Ponzinibbio. There's too many to name.
And one name that you mentioned there, Dan Lambert, he's been, well, his impact on mixed martial arts. Dan isn't a man who likes to do a lot of interviews, and you won't see him in front of the camera very often. But how big of an impact, not only in American top team, but on mixed martial arts in general, do you think that Dan Lambert has had?
Man, it's priceless. He's given he's literally made dreams come true for so many young athletes. So many, when young guys, when fighters had nothing, when nobody knew their name, he was the guy that was like supporting them, giving them a support system when nobody believed in these guys, which allowed them to get to where they are, which you wouldn't be where you are without him. There's so many people. I mean, I'm on the top of that list, but there's hundreds of guys, if not more.
And you mentioned earlier, Jorge Masvidal. Obviously, he's had the back-to-back losses to Kamaru Usman, but he says he's targeting a return in September or October, I believe. What do you think makes sense for him at this moment in time? Because there's a fight out there with Leon Edwards. Everybody knows that there's history between them, but there's also a fight out there with Nick Diaz, which was meant to happen a couple of years ago. What would you personally like to see him? What fight would you like to see him take part in next?
I mean, he's a lot like Conor. He's one of the biggest stars in the sport. I mean, I think he and Conor are the two biggest stars, two biggest draws. When it comes to personality and fighting skills and all that, George is the best. Personally, love to see a Nick Diaz fight, just because I know how big it would be. Both have unbelievable, gigantic fan bases, and both have that raw fight style where they're willing to throw down anytime, anywhere, and it's so real that nothing fake about either one of these guys. And they're both special fighters, and I think that the numbers would be unbelievable.
And final question for me, Mike. I'm appreciative of your time this morning. How does Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 3 play out in your mind?
I think Dustin stops him, honestly. I don't know when and where, but I think he ends up getting the finish at some point within those 25 minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. Take care and good luck next weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.